Okay, so welcome back to Powell's Polytunnel. You can see I'm in the garage again. I'm making a window today, but it's a little bit of a weird window because it's going to go on the curve. So what I can show you is, so that's going to be the window. This bit here is a bit shorter just because I can't get it on the camera. So that's going to be kind of how the frame goes. So it will obviously square up, and then that's the window frame, like so. There'll be another piece here. What I've done is I've given myself, look, I use that as my little offcut. It's a bit of a space, so there's kind of a half of that each side. It might not be enough, we'll have to see, but there's like that and that each side. And what I've had to do, because obviously the polytunnel curves and I want to put my window on the curvy bit, I've had to cut a little bit of an angle here. So I cut a couple of bits of wood, these bits here, and then I use my little angle gauge, these out of the way. So the little angle gauge you see to set my miter saw. Then when my miter saw is set, I just cut 4 identical pieces for my window, and then I obviously did some spacing for the bits at the end, cut a bit off, and these bits of the frame. Now here's the clever bit really. I might struggle with this. Now you could use a pocket hole drill, that's not a problem, but I've sort of done my own little version. So what I did is, after I'd done my cuts, I held them together nice and neat, and I used my staple gun. So I just put 3 staples in each side, and then what I could do is I just use my drill bit. Hold on, that's my finger. So I used my drill. First of all I went straight down, and then I went just at a little bit of an angle to give my screw a bit of a bed in. And then what I did on the left hander is I took my screw went in here, so effectively my screw's doing kind of that. Now it doesn't need to be massively strong, it's just a window for a polytunnel, but that should hold it, I suppose, in theory. Could do something at the back there, but they're pretty strong actually. But these were just really easy to assemble actually with that in place. Without that in place it would become a nightmare. So what I've got to do now, I've got to just get my end pieces sort of screwed on, pieces screwed on there, and then we're going to think about how we're going to get it up onto the plastic, and we're going to do a bit of cutting, and I'm going to do some edge strips to go on top. And then the polytunnel plastic will go over, then it will sit on top, and this one we're just going to wrap it round, and then we're going to do our automatic opener. That's the whole point. So join me in a little minute and I'll show you the next stage. So you can see I've done this part already, so it's all screwed in, and what I'm going to do is do this part. So I've done a cross and a line, so I've obviously taken my thickness there. I'm going to pre-drill. So pre-drill the 2 holes, and then that can go in here. And the cool part is I can put this down totally flat, and then that can go right up against it. And then what I can do is bring in my square, which works very well. I can hold my square in. I can make sure that everything's as square as possible before I do the screwing. I'll make sure it's as square as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does help an awful lot. So I'm going to carry on with a couple of screws. You join me later. Okay, so hopefully everyone can get a bit of an idea of the design now. I'm quite pleased with that. So I mean, when this is sort of centered here, you've got a little gap, perfect little gap all the way around really. Just need to curve this off. I'm going to sand that off a little bit, just finish it up. I've got my hinges to put in, which are going to be here. And I've got the strips to go over the top, so I've got to cut some of these, just a thin batten to go over the top, and then obviously I'm going to have to cut my plastic, aren't I? So I'm going to cut the plastic in and then pull it to sort of get everything sorted, and the piece will go in here, won't it, is the idea. I'll have a fiddle with that later, but yeah, I'm feeling quite chuffed overall with that one. Okay then guys, so I've used the rip saw, just slightly set above the height of the wood clearly, and check we're all square, and if you look, that's what I've ended up with 3 pieces and a little piece. What's quite interesting is if you look at the difference here, look how much I've lost. So there's quite a bit I've lost because of the thickness of the saw. So if you think I've sent through, that bit there obviously is perfect. That's like about 10 mil. So I've got 3 pieces. It may seem a little bit of a waste, but when you think this wood now fits exactly on my frame, so it's going to look really neat and perfect. I've just got to now trim it all up to size and length, and that'll be perfect. And I've kept this piece, and actually the other piece, obviously there, it's a little bit thinner, so that's no good. So that'll be put aside. I can use that for something else. And all these 3 are perfect to use to do my edging. Okay, so I'm just putting the finishing touches on the strips. So the strip should go like that, which means that I've got to trim this little bit here. But I've done something quite clever at the top. So you'll notice if I turn it, it's obviously at an angle. If it was square, if I turn them both at this way, it would look rubbish. So I can't do it like that. Let's do that way. So it would look really, really pants with a gap. So I've done the same 12 mil, just the angle on the wood, and it's just going to make it look that little bit neater. But I've just got to chop that bit off, and then it'll all fit perfectly. Ready for hinges, bit of paint. So I'm just putting in a little bit of extra work now before I put the hinges in. Obviously, if I can rebate them slightly, it's a good job of it. It's quite funny, I've got my granddad's chisel here that I just recently sharpened. That is, I think it could be nearly 100 years old now, which is kind of cool. And then, oh, nearly dropped it. That could have been bad. My dad's hammer for the chisels, which has seen some action as well, but this one's seen some serious action. But I'll just do these and then we'll get them screwed in. So welcome back to Powell's Polytunnel. I'm looking at something quite special at the end here, but I'm going to turn around and see this one. This is the best looking one so far. So we're not even into June, and we're almost there with the first strawberry. That's looking big, juicy. What a lovely plant. There's loads more to come. Look, there's one here. We're going to get an amazing harvest, I think. And then you see, look, they're just dangling. They're ready to eat within, I reckon, the end of the week, maybe another week. It's going to be incredibly tricky to wait, but there's loads of these things. So I'm feeling really impressed with the polytunnel. And the lettuce is doing well. You know, tatsoi, the mizuna. But yeah, these strawberries are looking cool. I mean, this plant's yet really to show anything, but they're going to come. Here we've got just a little one there. These are looking big. So Strawberry Fest, and it's not even June. So there you go. That's one of these benefits of having your own polytunnel and starting things off early. It's all worth the effort when you start eating these British strawberries. There are no better strawberry in the world than something out of your own polytunnel. Okay, so we've done all the painting. I've got all my wooden battens here, my nail gun just for some brads, just a little bit longer than the thickness. And I'm working my way around the window first, and I'm just sort of stretching the plastic out so you can see it's my really nice little joint. Push it right up against, and it does quite nicely. So when it goes, and then you just pull the plastic out, drop the nails in. You can see here I just have to tap them in a minute. I'm just waiting really in case I need to adjust. I'm going to do the whole window and then I'll cut it out after I've done the whole window. So I'll show you what it looks like on the outside when I've tacked them all on. I'm almost there. I'm just going to put in the last couple of battens, but I thought I'd just explain to you what I did. So I did the inner ones first, I did the outer 2 top pieces, then what I did is I cut along the bottom, and then I cut up the side, and then I pulled in a little, and then battened on, and that enabled me to tighten my plastics. If you see here, let's come in here, this is the plastic here. You can clearly do with a pull, so you pull it like that, and then you wedge a bit of wood in, and then nail it on. And that works really quite well, I think. And I'm not going to cut the plastic right at the top because that'll just keep the water out if we've got torrential rain. So yeah, I think I'm pretty pleased with that. Okay then guys, so I'm feeling quite pleased with that. On the inside it looks good, it's nice and steady. So I'm going to have a little bit of a tidy up, move things around again. I've got to set this up later. That one's open a little bit with the heat at the moment, but I think it's got to warm up. It takes quite a while, so I'll give it a couple of days. At the moment it's quite loose because of the heat, but you can see how cool's that. So it's fitting the curve of the poly. I might leave a little bit of plastic on the edges actually here, because actually it's providing a bit of just a natural seal, isn't it? But that's going to be how it works. So it's going to be really cool, I think, that. Really decent. And there you go, so very easy to make. I've just put some screws on the outside as well. I thought that would hold in the wooden slats for sure. It's also tightened up my plastic a bit, so it's not going to wobble around as much, which is neat. And it's giving it a bit more stability this way, which is actually quite cool. So yeah, what a winner.